Let's zero in on the fishing operation. Brucey, this is probably a good place for you to come in because Jeff was still a young guy when you were working with Spike. Go through the beginning of it.
I remember being, after being on the boats for 3 or 4 years, one morning he came down and he said, Bruce, he said, Norma's not feeling well this morning. I don't remember which one that was, but he said, you're going to have to take this gentleman all by yourself. And I looked at him and I said, by myself? I was 14 years old.
14 years old.
14 years old. We went on the Row IB, which was the boat that was made in the Jamestown Faulkner plant, a 26-foot semi-enclosed cruiser, which was a wonderful boat for fishing because it had a permanent top on it and it had some bunks in it, and the back was all open and the sides were what they call fold-up, roll-up side curtains, and they were nothing but canvas with plexiglass in them. So the boat offered an awful lot of room and for fishing parties, and running 4 lines, 4 people was the ideal size party, but there could take up to 6. I started actually at 10 years old going out with Jeff's mom, steering the boat and checking lines. Norma was an extremely good muskie guy. She was a real pretty, smart little sweet girl who knew what she was doing. And she came from Jamestown.
So Norma, your mom was a Jamestown girl?
Yes.
What was her maiden name?
Beckstrand.
Beckstrand.
Yeah.
Yep.
She was the daughter of, the middle daughter of
Carl.
Annie and Carl Beckstrand, lived on Ward Street.
Well, trolling was the basic concept of running an artificial lure behind the boat. There were many, many different kinds. However, Spike always used the double jointed pikey minnow. And there was a certain size pikey that offered the best action. And we would get those plugs new and run them in the water to make sure we were getting darn good action on them, and we ran 2 stern lines off the back of the boat, which were about 4 to 4.5 foot in length, and then we called them outriggers off the side of the boat. So in reality, you could throw 4 lines if you didn't turn too sharp, and you could tell how well that lure was working because the tip of the rod would dance or vibrate. Pikey minnows were probably about 6 inches long.
And broken in the middle.
Broken in the middle, glass eyes and a lip. And I don't remember the year, of course, but the first ones didn't have a real large lip on them. And then Creek Chub, who made the lure, came out with the Deep Diver, and it was a large, wider and longer nose on it. And if you got that lure adjusted just right, it would literally dance out there. It was just a fabulous running lure. Then, of course, when the Deep Divers came out, you could buy the new lip, and there was a little set screw on top of where the nose would be on the fish, and you could change a regular nose piece, change it and put a Deep Diver one in. And
So you could modify, you worked on those, modified them.
Oh, yeah.
Maintenance.
Fine-tuned it, exactly.
They were joined in the middle by 2 eyelets, and they were screwed into the wood body. And to get it to run as smooth as you could get it to run, you would either back those screws out, maybe 1 turn is all, or you might bring them back in again, depending on, and then you would tune that lip, you would bend it down. I know some guys that would try to bend the sides up. My dad didn't ever bend the sides up on. It was either up or down. And,
Or a little twist.
a little bit of a twist.
A little bit of a twist.
A little bit of a twist. And
We also backed out, there was a treble hook off the bottom of the front section of the lure,
back that.
and a section in the back, and then one on the tail. And we would back those out just 1 turn. And that seemed to improve the
So you're removing hook a little bit from the
Just
body.
the one to hook the weight
Yeah.
up a little flat
Yeah.
on the body, otherwise with it being up tight, it hung down a little bit. When you got a lure that ran really good, you took care of it. And those favorites, and I've got pictures of the boats, they hung them all up in front of the pilot, the co-pilot seat
On wires.
On wires or in later, my dad didn't even bother putting a piece of wire up there, he just stuck the hook into the wood. Every year, H.L. Peters salesman would come and he would sit in the house and spend a half a day making up a tackle order.
Wow. And what about the color scheme?
My dad liked bright colors. And
Except I was always under the impression that muskies were colorblind. I don't know that for sure, but it
Muskies
seemed
never
like they
told me.
were. What's that?
Muskies never told me that. My dad was.
Well, yeah, we knew that.
He wasn't totally colorblind. He would look at something that was brown and he thought it was baby blue, or just the opposite. He was noted for running red lights. They had all names for all these.
Some of the names you wouldn't ever want to publish.
Bumblebee.
Oh, yeah. The Clownhead, Rainbow.
Rainbow.
Then there was one with the red and black body with dots on it, and I didn't want to tell you the name we had for that. It was
Then, how is the rigging? How is it rigged?
The muskie's mouth is got thousands of teeth in it, and they're razor sharp. That leader protected your fishing gear, allowed you to keep the fish on the line because it didn't allow the fish to wreck that part of the apparatus.
Well, in those days, it was nylon line, and if that line got anywhere in that fish's mouth, he could sock it down like that, and it'd be gone. You'd lose lure,
Everything.
a hunk of lead that was used to put the lure down, depending on what depth of water you wanted it. And so your dad and I made up our own lure, leaders.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Then you put a weight on there.
So it was the lure, the leader, and whatever weight you wanted, and
And
then
then your line.
to a 350, 400 feet of line.
A typical setup was either nylon or Dacron fishing line. And in his industry, they would buy heavy stuff only because it would hold up.
Exactly.
80-pound braided Dacron trolling line. Now, the only reason it ended up being 80-pound, and it was, you would cut your fingers off trying to break it, you would not break it. And it was braided in Dacron, is that it just held up from all the use it got. The line took the biggest beating of them all. In fact, the line was so strong, it would actually wear the guides right, it would groove the guides right out on the rods. And then you had to have swivels that had ball bearings, or they had to be so that your fishing gear didn't wind itself up, then your lure. And it didn't take special knots or anything like that. My dad never used any of these fishing knots, he just tied everything into a bolt.
And those reels were made by Penn?
Penn in Ocean City.
Ocean City?
They weren't flashy, they were just, all they were is a winch.
Well, they had what they call a star drag.
Star drags and.
So you would set the tension, and if a muskie hit, you had the tension set just right, so if that muskie hit with the speed of the boat at about 5 miles an hour, that lure didn't tear the lure right out of the muskie's mouth.
It was soft set.
This star drag was like a clutch, and you set it so if that fish hit, he could take line out, and it would be nothing on a big fish for him to peel off 25, 30 feet of line. And that's when the person would pick the rod up out of the rod holder and start bringing that fish in. And
What would the other people do then at that point? The other rods, what do you?
we bring the next closest rod in. So if the fish did this, it wouldn't tangle. So, but on the other side of the boat, you could
You could leave that outrigger out there. The outrigger
slow
out
the boat down a little bit,
a little bit.
but you'd see people, we tell them to just wind steady.
Don't pump it.
Don't force the fish, don't give them any slack, and that's what that star drag did, it didn't allow slack. And people would be winding and all of a sudden they would look and see line going off the bail of the reel. Don't worry about that.
Don't quit.
That's what you want.
Don't quit.
Purpose of the drag.
That's the fun part.
Don't quit.
And eventually that fish is gonna tire and you're gonna gain on him. And it'd be, you could spend 5-10 minutes on a muskie bringing it in if you really got a good fighter. And that was the fun.
Yeah. That's what hooks you.
Yeah.
That's what gets you.
It was a tremendous
Rush.
adrenaline rush.